This
Oh,
meeting is being recorded.
We have Brianna, and is Doug on the call?
So they're having audio. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is this Maggie?
Yeah, because we were all having or experiencing audio. I think I'm probably the only one and that can kind of speak now. So I think if we could give him a couple more minutes to try to troubleshoot, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Because he has the presentation on his side.
Okay. All right. So just Maggie, introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm Maggie Freeman. I am one of the original WEEQUAHIC Park Sports Authority members, founders. I wear many hats. Advocate is one, but for the most part, we do a little bit of everything here in WEEQUAHIC Park Sports Authority throughout the years. Proud parent of a son, and just a friend to all in the community. I don't know if Joy or Brianna has audio yet, but they can try and see. Let me just double check my text.
I'm here. This is Joy Bembry Freeman. I am the Executive Director for WEEQUAHIC Park Sports Authority. We all hold many tasks as the operation. We move forward to the community to do lots of work that we do.
Okay.
I think Brianna and Doug is having the difficulties right now.
Okay. So you're saying that Doug has the presentation. Oh, how you doing, our brother Freeman?
How you doing? I don't know what's going on with this computer today, though. Trying to get the video up, but I do have the presentation on. If you could just let me share my screen.
Okay.
All right. Do y'all see that?
Not yet.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay.
All right. So let me read your bio, brother Freeman, first. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Douglas Freeman is the current president of the WEEQUAHIC Park Sports Authority and a member of the WEEQUAHIC High School Alumni and South Ward Community Police Relations Committee. Mr. Freeman is currently serving his community and surrounding areas with a hands-on approach to develop, administer, and enhance proposed activities in the South Ward District residents of Newark. With over 15 years in the telecommunications industry and the community service programming, Douglas Freeman has accumulated experience in public service, networking, communications, community task forces, and has served as a union delegate for several years. His professionalism in the telecommunications industry has paved the way to becoming the owner and founder of a Newark-based independent communications company that has donated and served several communities as he continues to consult and motivate others to believe in their vision. For additional experience, Douglas Freeman proudly enlisted in the U.S. Army services to serve and protect his country. As a proud Newark, New Jersey resident for over 30 years, Douglas Freeman has motivated, inspired, and encouraged his community through collaborations and volunteering efforts. His passion to enhance the community has become a lifelong goal that will follow him throughout his journey in public service. For over 10 years, Mr. Freeman and his team has spent and is currently actively planting flowers, hosting programs while improving WEEQUAHIC Park using different techniques.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Whitten.
All right, brother.
I'm still having problems sharing this video for some reason, but I'll just talk while I'm actually doing it. So I just want to thank you for inviting us to your meeting. I know it's very important, when you're working with parks to collaborate. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be here to speak, on some of the work that we have accomplished and, the why we have actually taken on WEEQUAHIC Park. Kind of wish the video, I was able to share it, for some reason I'm still having problems with it. Let me see if I can do it again. Give me 1 second here. And I apologize for this too. Sometimes technology can be a little challenging.
It's showing now, actually.
As we all know.
Yeah,
When it
I want
works,
to
it
play
works
it
well, but when it doesn't,
Okay, I might be able to play it. All right. But it was a little rough trying to put together a lot of videos of our actual work. So I'm gonna stop it as I go along.
Is there sound?
Intro of our team. Can you hear it?
No, there's no sound.
Can you hear it?
I can hear
So-
the sound.
So explain the picture that we're seeing.
Yeah, so that's why I'm gonna go over it. So right now, I'm gonna show you our team. I'm gonna go back. You know, I can kind of move the screen. So, you know, the WEEQUAHIC Park Conservancy, Sports Authority Conservancy, we were founded in 2012, and we were actually came down to WEEQUAHIC Park because of the fact that it started out at the golf course. There was an event at Maple Avenue School, and Maggie's son was at the park. You know, we lived in the South Ward for many of years, but we really did not engage with the park. You know, we was kind of caught up in our careers and things that we were doing outside of it. Coming from my background of telecommunications, and, you know, being able to travel all over New Jersey, from Bergen County to Freehold and all these different places. That was my background, running teams and actually improving the infrastructure of technology, which is kind of ironic that, you know, the technology now is not the way we really want it. But I'm not going to get into that today. You know, when we speak on improvements, we brought a technical technician type version. But what was to be with our organization is we came together also as WEEQUAHIC Park, WEEQUAHIC High School alumni. We have members from our school, and then we have residents and elders. So we all came together to take on the mission of making sure that the children had a safe zone. I don't know if you recall back in 2012 and during that time, there was a lot of gun violence in our neighborhood, right? What I'm gonna do right now is just show some of our people. All right, this is Joy. Joy is the co-founder also. He's on. This is Ed Wadu. I'm gonna pause it right here. All right, so Ed Wadu challenged our age group at that time. I believe we was in our 30s. I believe it was close to our 40s. So Ed Wadu challenged us at the golf course to step up. And if you knew Mr. Wadu, he wasn't real polite about asking you for, well, he was polite, but he was stern about asking you for your help. So at the first time that I met Mr. Wadu and our people that's from our organization, and before we had an organization, he kind of cursed us out though, you know, and he said that we didn't care about the community. And after like really diving in from fixing up, like I said, Bergen County, Freehold, and all these other places we have traveled, being in $20,000 homes to sometimes $60 million homes. Right? So we said, okay, why are we not doing this for our own neighborhood? And that was another piece of what brought us to be. So I went back and I talked to Marquise Owens, you know, a friend of mine and he's also the vice president. This is Jose also, but I'm gonna talk about that piece. Marquise, I said, Marquise, you know, we need to step up more. And then I also went to other alumni members from WEEQUAHIC 1990 and said, you know, the man's right. We need to step up. So we started to go around WEEQUAHIC Park. And I'm just going to show this video, a short piece, and then I'm going to talk after it. I'm going to cut it off, you know, for a second. So this is our street doctor too.
They look familiar.
Oh yeah, that's one of our mentors. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right here. During our advocacy back in 2012, 2013, Mr. Wadu suggests that we go to at that time it was the freeholder meetings. And we were there just about every meeting for about 5, 6, 7, 8 years. You know, we just now recently started going back after the passing of Mr. Wadu, because we had kind of fell off from going to the meetings. So, you know, there was a lot of violence, you know, to the point that the mayor, Cory Booker, had to make videos and press conferences, and there were shootings of individuals in their heads and all kind of things, right? Assassination style. So we went to the county and we asked the county to step up on them county roads, right? That was another piece of it. So, you know, our conservancy was more than just Weequahic Park. We actually became an outreach piece in the South Ward, where we actually consulted other organizations and encouraged people to, you know, understand their value, their worth, and understand that, you know, you too can be part of this. So what we did, and I'm going to play a little bit more, and some of it. All right. So this is where we met Mr. Wadu, right? So what we actually performed was we went to all the different areas from the streets, because we know individuals out here, and we asked them to let's make Weequahic Park a safe zone. And you know, some of them was reluctant to participate. And it says, well, what does that really mean? All right, that means there's no violence in Weequahic Park. We looking for you to do football, baseball. You know, you could use the basketball court, but we want you to take ownership of these things. You know, and what came about with that was that young men, young women, which some people identify as street people, they actually started to step up with us, and we was able to accomplish, you know, some major goals. You know, and one being that we was able to just bring the youth together and understand that, look, we can do these different sports, but there was a problem about doing the sports. The facility needed to be improved, right? And I'm going to show some, you know, some videos of what the park is looking like. Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. There's so many pictures that we could show of how the park really was. So one of the things that we have found out in our advocacy to restore the park, that there was prostitution that was also going on. There was a lot of drug use on Elizabeth Avenue side. and there was some issues that need to be handled. So once again, we trying to create this into a safe zone. We went to the sheriff department, we went to the police department, we went to a lot of different individuals and said, okay, how do we come together as a community? Because we want this to be a safe zone, but we can't have this type of activities going on within this park. You know, the young men and women from the streets also stepped up and said, okay, we're gonna play our part. There's a gentleman who trained dogs. He said, oh, okay, we're gonna do our part. His name is Eric. You'll see him on probably on Saturdays and Sundays. That's why he's training the dogs. It's actually more than just training dogs. He has a presence there, and he keeps the park on that side of the park kind of protected in certain ways because he's active. You know, and to doing this thing, you know, sometimes you upset the people that are doing these things, right? And you know, yes, we had death threats and type of violence pushed against us and all these different pieces, right? And we kept, you know, pursuing it, saying, you know, you can threaten us all you want. We're going to change this park to a safe zone. Also, you know, during this time, there was bodies thrown in the lake to change the image of the park because we are saying that, you know, we're going to change it to a safe zone, positive image. So in this, we're continuing to put together different sports. So, you know, we're doing golf with the first tee. We created with the USTA a tennis program. Right here is a baseball program by Rodney Mason. He's no longer with us, but Rodney Mason was an amazing individual. He was actually training children by sitting in a wheelchair. But one thing that Rodney was having problems with was volunteers and help. So, you know, we went out, we got donations, that's what you're looking at right now, and we was able to support Rodney, right? And when Rodney started to get sick and wasn't able to do it, our organization and our members from the WEEQUAHIC Park Sports stepped up, and we're actually doing the baseball program. We didn't know anything about baseball, right? But now, if we move forward to today, we have a gentleman that's Jose Lopez. He's a sports director, and I'm gonna start letting them talk, and not let them talk, but actually invite them to speak. That, you know, he's a semi-pro baseball player, and he also was now doing the baseball program. So I'm gonna play a little bit more.
Hey, Doug, before you play some more, I just want to speak on some of the pictures you showed real quick.
Yes.
There was a tree planting. You didn't mention the part where we lost a lot of trees during the Superstorm Sandy.
Okay, yeah. All right, so let me speak on the tree planting. It was actually several different tree plantings that we requested the Tree Foundation, and we also went up to West Orange and with our own vehicles and picked up some trees that was donated. I showed that previously. You know, these were like red buds. So, you know, we donated, somebody donated, and I apologize because I don't remember her name, but she was a lovely lady. And she said, okay, I have all these trees, and they contacted us because we was like new to this. So we really didn't know exactly how to do like a nonprofit and all these things. So we was like really trying to put all these pieces together. And she said, come here, I have some trees for you. So we took our vehicles, and plus that's another thing, we would just use our own vehicles, and we went through a lot of vehicles, you know, trucks that we purchased, you know, as residents. So, you know, we went up there, we was able to get the trees. I don't know if that's coming up. Matter of fact, let me see. Wait, I just had it. And I thank you for that, Maggie. You know, we're not used to like really doing videos because we just do the work. All right, so that's right here. Okay, that's the young lady right here. All right, so yeah, she invited us up to get these trees, and we planted the trees. And as I'm gonna show the next photo of that. These are some of the trees here. Some of them are oak too. As I said, you know, we used our own vehicles, you know, to take care of the trees. And that was something that was important to us to use our own resources. We didn't go out to seek any grants. We didn't look to do these things with businesses. We wanted to see what can we do as residents. So we did a lot of bartering. That was something that we just became professionals at, of bartering services. So I'll try to go back here. Okay, so these are the tulips that we planted and purchased for the park. You actually see some tulips coming up now on the Grumman entrance when you come into the park. When you see the little, it's like a divider in the middle of the park. That's to represent the people that was lost and died. It's a memorial tulip piece, and we put actually 10,000 tulips total from 2012 to now or more. But one thing about tulips is sometimes they come up and then there's a lot of times that you have to keep planting. So, we decided to really hit it hard again this year. So we purchased like 5,000 tulips and we concentrated on one area. And then we're going to continue to keep going as we go along. Okay, what you see here is WEEQUAHIC High School. One of the, one of our biggest and most important part of what we were actually able to accomplish was to be able to create a cooperative. And as you can see in that cooperative, we was able to take different organizations and bring them together and do food, because food deserts was actually being talked about heavily at that time. So we was able to continue to just bring people together and do food for seniors and adults. But we concentrated on the seniors because there was quite a few seniors that we found out that they could not survive. We heard that seniors was eating cat food and all these different. So we said, okay, well, let's see what we can do with the county, because the county was discussing a cafe in the park. So in that cafe in the park, we met with the county, and it wasn't our ideal, but we just jumped on board to be a part of it, right? So we said, well, how do you plan on doing this cafe in the park? Oh, we're gonna have 50 seats. Said, okay, we'll do 50 seats. One of the our mentors, and that's Mr. Whitten here, his father, he suggested that we do it in a up approach of today, of how we engage. And we used to talk to Mr. Whitten a lot, Mootsy Middleton and Mr. Wadu and all these different individuals. So it's not just what we was able to accomplish is, as the sports authority, is what we was able to accomplish learning from our elders. And one of the things I did notice, because we started to go around the neighborhood and see how people were doing food pantries, that there was lines of people standing for hours, and they were seniors sitting there standing in lines waiting to get food. And that was something that we said, oh no, we're not going to have that. So what we started to do, let's see if I can find. That was what it started at, where they stood in lines.
Yeah, but they also,
Okay,
and also,
so now,
hey,
this
Doug,
is
let me-
what hold on, man.
okay.
This is what I wanted to get at, right? So when it originally started, as I said, it was in lines. So we said, oh no, our seniors will not stand in line. It would sit down, and we will actually take these items that they're actually supposed to get from the county, and we're gonna take it to their cars. We're gonna take it back to the bus. So we started to get the youth involved, also more people from the community, and we would use the golf carts and all these different equipment to take the seniors' items, because we call them our VIP seniors. And we would take these items to their cars so that they could live a golden life. Because at that age, they just want to enjoy their life. They don't want to be sitting here trying to take these items and and beg for food and look for food. So we made sure that they was able to do what they needed. Maggie, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I think it also too with the pictures, it was just showing a culture of how we should treat each other, right? So we looked at the trees and we looked at the senior cafes and the different things that we encountered when we got to the park, and just noticed that, you know, our community wasn't together. They weren't talking to one another. They weren't even in the park, number one, because of the stigmas that was there. So it was really important to kind of frame what we kind of walked into. So here we are, you know, in the park, starting with the golf course, hearing our elders' complaints as well as positive stories, and not really knowing how to receive that information at first. But each initiative that you see over the screen pretty much is one effort at a time to get to the Weequahic Park we know today, that has been, you know, nationally praised for the growth in the efforts. So just when you look at the pictures, each one symbolizes a role, symbolizes an entry point of the park that we had to modify, had to assist, had to help, whether it was mulching trees, whether it was bagging the new trees up so the mulch can, you know, retain the water. Every youth that you see across the screen coming into the park, feeling safe in the park, the seniors picking them up, like Doug said, in the vehicles from around the neighborhood to get the cafe started for years, because they didn't have a way there. It was just so many different hands-on efforts that just, you know, we look back at it now and say, wow, did we do all this, you know? And we're just grateful to have met Mr. Wadu, because without his leadership, without his, you know, note for all, we wouldn't have probably even entered in Weequahic Park to this capacity. We wouldn't have met a Jose Lopez. I wouldn't have known the Vice President, Marquise Owens, even though he was friends with Doug for years. We wouldn't have known a Renata or yourselves. Like, we would not have been at this point had we not met Mr. Wadu when I got that flyer from Maple Avenue School golf course to say, come to this program in the park, which Mr. Wadu was monumental in bringing the first tee. Let me just add that too, to Weequahic Park. He was the person who advocated at the county meetings to make sure golf was in an urban community. One of the only ones that were here. So that was his, you know, claim to fame. And he spoke so highly of the first tee that we really, although we started doing cleanups in the beginning, one of our first things was advocating for the first tee of Essex, going to the meetings, going to Bronx and the museum. There's a golf museum, if you don't know, a golf museum in New Jersey, but just kind of being there for the kids. And once we stopped the golf, and that kind of got a little heated too. But once Mr. Wadu kind of pushed us in that segment, we looked around the rest of the park and we found it to be just empty, dilapidated, broken equipment. There was nothing else to do. And that was the reality that we were faced with. Even the golf course itself had molded greens. The grounds were molded. There was an old rickety trailer there with like stacks of bags and equipment. That you just, like, how can you do a program properly in an old trailer and you can't even find the equipment in it? You know, it was just a dilapidated space that wasn't welcoming for anybody. So, you know, throughout the years, like, all of these pictures just represent one effort at a time, whether it was a food drive, whether it was a cleanup, whether it was going over to Seth Boyd and asking for their support and help to make sure that this is a safe zone in the park, whether it was boxing with Ali, you know, he has a place on Clinton Place, or in trying to invite him down to, you know, grow his program. That was one of the main things that we encourage everybody to do, was grow what they already do best, grow what you do, and just come in as like one conglomerate to do it together. And I think that has always been our, you know, claim to fame. Let's do this together. What we continue to find is that, you know, people hold on to what they love to do so tight that you just sometimes suffocate it. And we're still at that place in our community right now where we're just suffocating our efforts. And it's wonderful to be on a platform like yours that's saying, let's unite as parks, let's unite as a community, let's unite together, because that is our mission here too. Let's build these things together and make our community better. So I just wanted to add that part, Doug. Because, you know, the pictures, I wanted to just frame out what, you know, are all seeing. We saw drugs on the ground, needles, it's the list can go on and on. We literally have over maybe 10,000 pictures that we probably couldn't condense into an hour. I have like at least 7,000 of my own, and Joy and each individual has it literally compiled together. It could probably last for about 2 days worth of footage of just
Yeah.
things
Oh,
that we've encountered.
thank you, Maggie. So what you're seeing here is actually we were invited to a park by Link School. There was a lot of drug use that was actually going on down there. And we were actually, because of the work that we were doing, and we had to go down there and actually kick out all of the drug users. And it was so bad that there was actual, I'm gonna see if I could show some of it. Hold on. It was drug bottles all over the school sidewalks every single day that the guard had to put a broom at the door of the school. So, we reached out to the city council and we was able to clean up the playground. One of the things that was promised, I know, because we was negotiating on who owned the playground. And then come to find out that Mr. Lopez right here actually was the one that put this playground there years later, because we met him years later. And it was just strange that way that we connected. But, Link owns this playground now, but, sometimes when you advocating with people, you need to kind of stay in touch with those individuals. After we was able to get the playground, and Link was able to, acquire the playground, it took all the playground equipment out. And they have a bus there. It's not even for the community anymore. And, I'm not sure if you used the Green Acre funds at that time, Lopez. So, when I do know if you use Green Acres, funded, you're supposed to upkeep what you used with this funding. And to know that now that neighborhood does not have a playground, that is of concern to us because we the ones that actually help you get the playground, and you said it would be opened up to the public. Because other than that, it would still be drug users from all over the area of outside of this community. And I want to speak on that too, because that's what we found out. We was actually, as you see, we went to inside the school. So we found out that there is such a thing where the judges send their people who are on drug cases to Newark. And in this particular area, there's a lot of rehab for drugs, and they always congregating. But when they no longer can do what they needed to do as far as getting off the drugs, they all started to come to this little park and stay away from law enforcement, and they would just get high like no tomorrow. So that's one of the reasons why that park became what it is, because of the fact that in municipal townships were sending their people to Newark, and they wound up just staying and stay close to the drug source. See if I can just fast forward. All right, this is the paddleball court. This is the first project that we was able to accomplish, and we restored this particular part of the park. And what happened over the years is the landscaper would cut the grass and blow the leaves and the grass onto the paddleball. We tried our best to keep up this area by having like house music events. We did tennis there also. So it got to the point where we just now have to restore it all over again. And this is legal dumping is also a major concern when you're doing this type of work. So, we wanted to, like I said, get to the sports, but we continue to have environmental issues over and over and over again. So, parents were complaining about how dirty the park was. So we said, okay, before we can even actually get to the part of doing our different programs, and then I'm going to run it off. And I'm glad that you mentioned the National Night Out, because we've been part of that for since 2012, and I'm glad now that that you're doing it too, so that we can collaborate on a national night out, please? Because we collaborate with the police department and the sheriff department, where we actually have flag football games with the people from the community, the police department, community relations group, because I was, at that time, I believe I was the vice president of the Southport Community Police Relations. And that's a old organization that's been around since the 60s. And, I challenged them to, can you help us out to be community stewards with the police? And we wound up having a great relationship on that too. This right here was Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts received a letter from the main company, and they was going to close this location because of so much activity. Maggie, because Maggie did a lot of the negotiations with this, can you share some of the issues that was going on with this Dunkin' Donuts?
Right. So so just to go back a little bit, some of the efforts trying to unify people, in the community, because once we found that Weequahic Park alone had all these issues, we also quickly discovered that it trickled outside of the community. So that meant in your Weequahic sections, your Clinton section, like every area had something to do with the Weequahic Park narrative. So by attending the meetings, and that was also like the police council meetings that he's talking about every third Tuesday of the month, just developing those relationships with the Newark Police Department. We also came in contact with the Ring doorbell kind of initiative as well. That's another thing that kind of spearheaded, but the community police officer had a few tasks on their plate. We were one of the only groups to say, how can we help you? We see that you're doing all these different things in the community, and we are having challenges, with the park in the community. How can we assist in any way? We created I think it was like 2013 or 2012, a Facebook group, actually. It was called South Newark and I think Essex County information at the time, or district information at the time. We started sharing all this different information. Every time we would go to a meeting, we would just put it out there in the universe. Hopefully somebody in the community grabs hold and use what they need to do what they can to help their particular areas. That was the goal in mind. It also became an avenue for people to share some of the challenges they were encountering in their area, as well as the park. And one of the things that came up was the Dunkin' Donuts store. They were having issues with fights, gun violence. It was just literally, we knew what was happening there, but the store owners were just such in an uproar. The hospital workers didn't feel safe going to the Dunkin' Donuts. The school piece was like, it was definitely dysfunctional environment. So what we said is, okay, we know that there's issues. Okay, how can we do our part to make it better? And what we offered at the time was the fundamentals of sports and recreation. And one of the sports programs that we started was the USTA tennis. And that was, we had all the equipment that was donated through USTA. So we said, okay, the community service officer at the time, it was Phillips. I think he's now, lieutenant, or the head lieutenant of the 5th precinct, but Phillips is his last name. And he said, okay, sure, I gotta do add something to my calendar. And we just made it happen. So we asked Dunkin' Donuts, hey, can we use your parking lot to just show and promote the programs in the park to see if we can get kids off these streets into, programming, into positive programming. And lo and behold, we blocked off the whole area. We had such a good time, music, fun, games, and we just closed down Dunkin' Donuts, not just one time, several times. And it was so successful that other groups in the community, such as the Girl Scouts that was at Carver School, they said, well, how can we use Dunkin' Donuts in the same way that you're doing it? And we kind of were the ambassadors of this is the things you can do. Like, you don't have to limit yourself with your outreach or your program. You can go to those store owners, you can go to the police department, you can go and do these things with other people and be successful and turn your narratives around. So we did that by action, right? So we're doing it, you could do it too. And these are some of the photos, you know, of just working with Lovejoy is another one in the picture I just saw, was the MPD officer. Some of them I think are close to retiring now, but that was one of the initiatives. The Ring doorbell was another one. I don't know what group probably started the Ring. It could have been someone even on this call today, but what I do know is when we went to one of the community meetings, we were like, well, what's happening with these doorbells that, you know, 500 or so was supposed to go to the community? What happened? So the police officer at the time, he's like, I'm not sure. I'm trying to get people to join. So again, I volunteered. I said, listen, I know we could get 500 neighbors from North Newark and South and the South Ward to put doorbells on their homes, because this is you know, this is something that we need. We need to know what's happening. We need eyes in our streets seeing what's going on. So, you know, I was volunteering, like getting people to sign up through social media and any means necessary. So I think have the list of names of just all the people we were able to recruit for this particular initiative. And that was successful. So now Ring is like definitely a, you know, a known force out there in the world. But again, these are the types of things, just kind of pulling up our sleeves, saying we can be there and support you too. And meanwhile, keep in mind, nonprofit, even though we had it, that wasn't our driving force for doing it. It was just making a change for the people that we knew. Like, it's not that we didn't know or come to love the people in our community. We began to call each and every one family, even from these young ladies here. This story, we had a community janaza, even the Freehold president now, Richardson, and so many others donated to just be a love and support for the family. There were a lot of moments of just treasuring our community, making sure the people knew that they were valuable. And even today, some people are like, what happened to the music in the playground? What happened to the spirit of the park that we came to love? Yeah.
I just want to share on this one.
Oh, sure.
As the actual family member was found guilty, he stabbed up his the two young ladies in Maryland, and the mother sent them down there to the family member, and you know, that was just for like vacationing in the summertime, and you know, for a mother to have her children come back in a casket, it was very heartbreaking. And you know, we didn't really know a lot about the situation, but we received a phone call from Kim Gilchrist asking us, can we help the mother? Right? She doesn't have a lot of resources, but she wants them to come into WEEQUAHIC Park because that's where she always took them to the playground. Yeah. We did not know, the two young ladies right here, but we said, okay, what do you need us to do? We want to make sure she has a celebration of their life. And what we was able to do it was so amazing. Within one day, we was able to get all these different people together, and everybody just started to give more of their resources. And we was able to have a celebration of their life to the point where the mother was dancing and we played music till she stopped dancing. Unfortunately, she's no longer here. She died maybe 6 months later from grief. She could no longer like really bear the fact that her daughters died in that manner, and she also too passed away. So I just want to share the different experiences. Right here, I'm gonna go back if I can. I kind of wish I would have did this on PowerPoint because I can actually share it a little bit better. I'll play it and I'll stop it. Okay, what you're looking at right here is an actual, it was part of a golf event, but it also was a tour that we did with Port Authority and different consultants that was coming into the community. Port Authority, Newark Housing, and all these different entities had so many plans for WEEQUAHIC Park, but there was not enough conversation with residents though. So, we wound up getting into the advocacy of dealing with the Port Authority, and all these different entities that was making these plans for our area. And we was able to do that just by going to different meetings. We went to the Park 150 meeting, and it got so overwhelming to us where we had to always deal with the different mayors from different and council people from different townships, trying to figure out why are you at this meeting? Because there was no North residents there. There was no North council people, elected officials. There was just them. And we would crash their meetings, if I could say it that way, because we would keep showing up to these different public meetings that normally we do not attend. That was something that I feel that we have to start doing again. Green Acres, and that's the ring that Maggie was talking about. One of the things that we finding out with Green Acres is that when you acquire Green Acre funding, you have to upkeep what you asking them to do with the funding that they give you. We didn't take any of the funding. It all went straight into the park. The county applied for all Green Acre funds, and that's one of the things I want to just make note of, that when it came to our organization, we just wanted to do the work. And, when you look at the improvements, all right? So I'm going to go back. Maybe Maggie, you could talk. I'm going to play it real quick.
Well, yeah, I was going to stop at the part where you showed the light fixtures and the poles. I want to pause there for a second, just to go back. Like I said, like Doug said previously, our journey started in telecommunications industry. I also was a staffer there as well, one a big conglomerate company in the area. I say all that to say is that there was a point in our community advocacy that we encountered a lot of issues outside of WEEQUAHIC Park and in WEEQUAHIC Park, but predominantly outside of WEEQUAHIC Park with safety concerns, with the wires, with just unsafe poles. I mean, the list went on and on and on. Even inside the park, having Douglas himself did physical wiring at the First Tee building. Just because it was not done properly. He volunteered his efforts there with a couple of others that he knew from the industry. The poles, like this is one inside of the park down. And when you have those things exposed and open, anybody could get electrocuted at any time, even if it rains and there's like a thunderstorm, lightning. I mean, it just became a major safety concern that we found in and outside of the park. It really even became a goal because we came from the industry. It's like, how could we not say something about you not taking care or doing your part in the community? Although we were taking care of some of the concerns of WEEQUAHIC Park, the bigger scope was, okay, well, look at the thousands of residents that are just kind of like a hit or miss when they ride down the street, or, they can instantly get killed. So it became a personal, task to just hold different parties accountable, whether it was PSE&G, whether it was a telecommunications company. It really didn't matter who was on the block. We were in the mode, in the mindset of accountability matters. Yeah.
Maggie, I just want to add on to that. When she speaks about being in the industry, we knew the industry. I'm not going to be kind of shy about that. We knew exactly who to call and how to get straight to the top of those ladders. Having the PSE&G polls down, and it was quite a few, and we said, okay, we need to discuss the lighting issues, not just in the park, but also throughout the South Waterfield. So this became a campaign where we met monthly with, and I say names, PSE&G, Verizon, Altice, that's also, you probably know them as Cablevision. And we met monthly to discuss what's going on in the Southwood. So, we requested from code enforcement, help with trying to identify these poles. And I gotta talk about, Ms. Williams, she's no longer here with us, but she was one one code enforcement person, you know. And when I say she would be all over the place, she would say, just call me, whether it was 12 o'clock at night in the morning, or it was 1 a.m. She would sometimes be calling me, telling me that there's a situation with families, and we just started building a bond with certain code enforcement people and other individuals who cared about the community. So just moving forward, what we was able to achieve when it came to these utility meetings, we was able to get them to be part of the community. We said, well, you know, you're not doing enough as far as with the technology. So if you look at the Route 22 side, before it used to be so dark on that side because, you know, there wasn't no lighting. PSE&G donated all of those lights. The county said that they would, you know, pay the portion for the electricity, and they also installed the lights. And now it's one of the safest parts of the park now on the 22 side. We was also able to get LED lights as an agreement for the South Water North, right? Because when you look at the LED lights, it's a lot brighter than the other type of lights that we used to see. You know, because, you know, there used to be a thing where you can reduce the electricity if you do not know that. And it used to be real dark in our communities. Verizon also, you know, speaking with Verizon, they also put into place that they was going to do more with the foundation, and they created these laboratories for the schools. I have to revisit that to see how those laboratories are going now with that, because we wanted the children to learn more about the fiber optics piece, to understanding coding, and that was at the elementary school age. So, you know, that's sometimes like when you have limited staff and just have the passion, and you do not have what we say a group that's constantly monitoring certain things, you kind of fall off from seeing if it was accomplished. So I have to, you know, go over to Hawthorne Avenue School, you know, one day and see, you know, how that laboratory is going, you know, and then I think it was another school in the North Ward that was also able to get that. But one of the things that we found out that the outside plant was terrible in the park and outside of the neighborhood. So we was able to get actually over $2 million worth of work done. And through our advocacy, the state of Pennsylvania was actually able to do a lot more because they took in great legislation about the hanging wires. And I know that there's legislation now that I don't know if it's been passed or not in the Senate of New Jersey, but I know that there is legislation that they have to now start to remove those dead wires and things on that. In a minute, I'm about to wrap up the act, you know, in this case you have any questions. But I want to just, you know, share the different sports that we put together. We were able to restore the fireworks in WEEQUAHIC Park. Years ago, there was an incident and I wasn't privy to, but the elders spoke about it, and the fireworks was normal, right? So there was a concern that we bring the fireworks back for us, because when we would go to different places, like I did show pictures, we traveled to Myrtle Beach, we traveled to Atlanta, we traveled to a lot of different places doing our research to see, you know, how do you act with your park, your neighborhood. And one thing we found out when going to Atlanta, going to these other places, that there was a such thing as an aerotropolis. And in that aerotropolis is where you bring your community together, and it's like almost like a circle, and you're just steady circling those resources over and over and over again. And that's something that we are proud of, that we was able to accomplish, is that we actually circle resources over and over and over again. There are organizations that do not even know that we was involved in certain things in the background because we didn't take credit for it. You know, we just said, okay, let them do it. Just get it done, you know? And we would sit in meetings when it comes down to recycling and restoring houses and all these different things that we was involved in. And it came more than just sports. So we said, okay, if we were to say we're behind it and we helping you, would they continue to do it? No. Just make it where they know that they can actually accomplish these goals, because we have been around for quite some time. And one of the things before and then I'll let Maggie talk about it, or maybe Marquise or Jose talk about the different sports, but I want to just share this with you. During my career, one year there was a major storm, and I did a lot of in-home technician type work too, not just the pole work and those things. So I was up in Bergen County off of Route 4, and I had to go into, I believe it was Alpine or one of those Closter, one of those areas. And it's hard to get there from Route 4 with a snowstorm. So I called up the customer and the gentleman, Italian American. He said, are you coming? I said, no, because I'm not going to be able to drive that van from your location, right? And he said, no, if you can get up there, I can plow you back to Route 4. And I'm like, you're going to plow me back 10, 15 miles away from Route 4? All right, I got to see this happen. So I drive up there, I fix the lines in a multi-million-dollar home and everything. And now it's real thick, the snow. And I'm like, oh man, you just got me stuck up here. I have children at home. I'm stuck up here in Bergen County now. He said, no, I need to take your belt off. I want to share something with you. And I says, okay. He said, we already know who you are because, when you work up in those areas, you have like technicians that can only go to certain homes, right? And he said, well, we requested you. So I want to sit you down. I know who you are. I'm going to explain something to you, how you're going to get back to Route 4. And maybe you could take this later on as a learning lesson for you. I said, okay, well, what is the learning lesson? He says, did you see the new trucks next door to my neighbor's house? I said, yes. He says, I'm the one that helped him get those trucks. I said, well, how did you do that? I'm the one that gets the contracts. I says, okay, you get the contracts. I'm still a little naive to this, not understanding what he's talking about. So he says, yeah. So I get the contracts, he gets the new truck. And he does the work, he takes care of his family. I said, okay. I said, so he's gonna plow me back and he's doing that just because you got him some trucks. He says, no, he's gonna plow you back. He's gonna come back and plow the street. And then he's gonna make sure he plowed our driveways. This is just what we do. He's gonna plow out the man across the street because he's the banker. I said, oh, he's the banker. He said, yeah, he helped finance those trucks. I said, oh. He said, but now here's the most important part. You see that house that's being built across the street? And that was a $10 million house. That's the house of whoever is the principal of our high school. And we all put in to fix and build that house. And whoever the principal of our children is going to stay in that house. And if they're no longer able to teach our children, we're going to move them out and a new principal goes in there. We want that person close to us so that we know our children are educated. But what you can do is understand that if you work together in this format, you'll be able to build back anything that you are identifying on. Because when I used to be in their homes, I used to always talk about improving North. And that learning lesson is what I do today. A lot of people may not see it, but we do help you with your resources in the background so that that circle can continue. Sometimes it leads to adversities where you become looked at as the problem or the person who has done something, but that's not the case. The whole thing is, how do we restore this South Ward, which is our community that's full of resources, from the parks to the schools, to the different businesses that's actually now being built from at the time there was no more food trucks, and to have over 400,000 people coming into a park, we need to now have places for them to go. So that's our presentation. Jose, if you want to explain the different programs that we have today, and I can answer any questions or anything that you may want to ask us about our advocacy and our organization.
Okay,
Sure.
Brother Freeman, I'm sorry, we're getting close, to the end of our meeting. So if you can open up for, questions and answering, sorry, I had to cut you off, Brother Jose.
No
But,
problem.
if persons on
Mhm.
the call had any questions, that may be related to the presentation of Brother Freeman, because he touched on some great points. I mean,
Mhm.
because of sweat equity, people who are vested within the city, the residents of the city benefit from. I mean, years ago we used to have police and firemen and school teachers who lived in our communities, you know, and many of our communities, our wards were more wholesome at that particular time. But if anyone has any questions of Brother Freeman or his team, please ask those questions now, please.
I have a question. Are you guys responsible for having the police van on Elizabeth Avenue 24/7? That in the
No,
middle of the street?
No.
no. Let me speak on that. What we are responsible for is having conversations with the 515 young men. Sometimes there's a misunderstanding of where they need to go, and we have an actual event. It's called the Elizabeth Avenue. I think it's like I think Joy can speak more on it because she actually grew up there. But the people from Elizabeth Avenue, we do an event in the park. It's like a reunion. Yes, it's the Elizabeth Avenue reunion. So we do talk with them. Those are some of the young individuals that we say that does the basketball and they do these different pieces. What has come about with that is, we did talk to those building owners, and unfortunately, some of them are kind of arrogant. They want just what they want. So they want these vehicles, and that's an expensive detail. And we're not so much for that because that's over $400,000 a year just sitting in that one little spot. And to have people rolling dice in front of the campus,
Right.
that's something that we don't really understand what's the purpose of that too. But
And that's a county road. The Newark police don't have to be there. It could be a county.
That's not a county road.
That's not a county road.
That's a city road.
It's not county?
No.
No, that's city.
Elizabeth.
Yes, Elizabeth.
It goes all the way to Hillside.
That's what the biggest argument been for a lot of years. But
Oh, wow.
it should be a county road because it goes through two different municipalities. But it's a city. But what I will say is that we've been working with the police department, community outreach, and they did a cops. I think it was Haircut with Cops. I don't know the exact name.
It was like it started off with Coffee as a Cop, and then we just added and transformed it into different versions. So we had Sports with a Cop and Party with a Cop, Kids with a Cop, different things that we kind of started doing throughout the years with them.
Yeah, so now what I do want to say about that 515 building and those different buildings, it has been very difficult to engage with the residents of these buildings because you do not know like who's the tenant association, because many of them do not have a tenant association. They're afraid to form one because they think that they're going to be put out. And now that we reached a place in time in this particular area where they're not really actually leasing, they're Airbnb. So, a lot of the youth today that's coming out of high school, they don't have the opportunity to be able to lease a property, apartment for months, years. They have to go month by month on Airbnbs. So that's another concern that, when you look at those properties, you have to really dig in to see, what's actually going on in those particular properties for nothing.
Right. Yeah. And I think you put it mildly when you said the building owners are arrogant. They literally said, "Why should we care about the park? Why should we care?" That was the words that were stated when we went to each one of those owners to say, "Hey, the WEEQUAHIC Park is your front and backyard to your residents. Can you donate? Can you help out?" They said, "Why would we want to do that?" So when you think about the challenges that we faced in just trying to get WEEQUAHIC Park back online, it was an undertaking. It was something special for sure.
Wow.
Right. A question for Rich or Miss Robinson as United Parks as one. Is this going to be done for all parks? I live between Vailsbury Park and Ivy Hill Park, more closer to Ivy Hill. Is this going to be done for those parks also, these type of meetings? Rich?
Tell us who they are. United Parks is one. The eventual goal is to make sure that all parks in Newark are a part of United Parks is one. That is the eventual goal. Tell us who they are. Have them become a member. And we have our monthly meeting. This is our monthly meeting that happens every third Saturday. And you know, Carla or Richard or Boot, Elizabeth could speak a little further, but this is our monthly meeting. We are United Parks is one, where we want all park groups and park and playgrounds and gardens to be a part of this group, so that we can make our green spaces safe havens for residents in the community. So tell us who the heads are of Ivy Hill or whatever ones that you're speaking of. That's the eventual goal, to get everybody under the banner, of United Parks is one, obviously doing their own programming. But, when it comes to green spaces, we want to be a United Park.
And that eventual goal may be a little while in coming. United Parks as one was originally formed by 3 Friends of the Park groups: Friends of Nat Turner Park, Friends of Jesse Allen Park, Mildred Helms Park Resurrection Committee, and also a community garden, which no longer exists, but Ujima Garden. This was back in 2011. And so those groups came together to have a way to kind of advocate together and share information. Over time, as people have moved away or passed away or gotten up in age, those groups have kind of waned. And so we are in the process of hiring a community organizer who will help with the reactivation of those groups. So that's our immediate priority. And then though down the road, we hope to expand that staffing so that we can work to support other groups and also build this alliance of park organizations across the city. So we're in, all of that is to say that we're in kind of a building process right now. And the good news is that we are getting some of the resources to do that. So that's the exciting part. And it's also exciting to hear what's going on at the different locations, and that people are interested in having a unified and kind of collective way to advocate for the improvement of open space.
Yeah, so I just want to speak on that for John. We can help out with that. One of the things that we have to get past is this county versus Newark parks. And, we've been, when I say our organization, we have relationships with a lot of different individuals. So when you look at Vailsbury Park, that would be Pamela. We can reach out to Pamela. You have the Ivy Hill Association. We're working together with them now, those 2 pieces. When you look at Westside Park, that is UCC. We're doing the collaboration with the sports and recreation right now. So I'm glad that, your organization is doing this. But what I think we really need to do now at this point is to have like a summit where we all can share what we're doing, because we're actually doing the same work. And that's why I reached out to your organization, because, it was not so much people didn't really understand our role and what we do and what we have already done. And some of this stuff is duplicated, right? And I don't look at the say I, because one, when you take the capital letter I and you put it together, you can spell we. So you're gonna hear when we talk, it's always we, whether the pronoun really, most people will say I. So, let's see how we can work together. So we can bring in, like I said, the Ivy Hill, we can see if Branchville Park wants to come in. You have the river front people that we worked with years ago. We actually went and they had this big event down in downtown, and we walked from City Hall with them down to riverfront park. Yeah. So, let's sit down now and see where we all are at, because we started some of this same similar work. Jose, that's why I wanted Jose to speak on those things, so that we don't continue to duplicate the same efforts. Because the way we look at it, if you are doing it, like Renata just said, she's doing, y'all doing the National Night Out, we doing it too. So that means now we have 4 locations instead of just the 3.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And maybe that, and this has always been a vision of ours, is that we have one park book. Because we are spending this money in flyers and all of these different things, and that's one of the most challenging part, is one book we all put in, and we don't have no problem putting in some funding. I put it out of my own personal pocket, that we send these things to the Southport residents as one group.
I love it.
We are doing a lot of work in the Weequahic section. I know that Clinton Hill is doing a lot over there. We're part of the NJPAC whole site over here with that too. And I know that the Clinton Hill Action became the hub. So that's, something that, I just clap my hands that these 2 organizations was able to do such things with art. And that's another part. When we look at these parks, a lot of the youth today, they're different. They're not so much into sports. They're into art. They into dance. They into drawing and painting and all of these different things, right? So we had to get involved with that too.
Yes.
Jose is actually an artist, believe it or not. And Elizabeth
Okay, where you live?
I'm not going to sit here and not mention Elizabeth McGrady, because she has always been a mentor from the time that we started, when we met her with the veteran ceremony that we put together. And that's something that we want to continue for Mr. Witten Sr. is we would do the veteran celebration. It was for Memorial Day, and we also did it for Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And he's no longer here, but we did a walk. It wasn't a 5K, but one day we're gonna get to his 5K. But let's see if we could do that. Is to do a 5K as a unified park.
I think that's the key.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I think that's the key, finding out where everyone can
So what
meet.
is suggested? Walk from park?
What's that?
I'm sorry. What do you suggest if we walk from our park to park, and that would be our 5K connecting the parks?
I love that. I love that.
She broke up.
You break it up, Ms. McGrady.
She asked if you're suggesting
typing in the box.
That we do 5K from park to park.
Oh,
That's what
that sounds like a great
Yeah,
idea.
That's been on the plans.
Great idea.
That's been on the plans for a lot of years.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Maggie, can I get a minute? So we do have a bike group where we ride bikes. Well, they ride. We do the safety patrol. We ride bicycles to DC every year. So not just a walk. We can actually do a bike ride from park to park. Everybody who's in this collaborative group, from the county parks to the city parks. So, I know that years ago we used to do a treasure hunt, and it was like a scavenger hunt, and we was going into that direction. But somewhere down the line, we all kind of got separated, and it became about who was in county parks and who was in North parks. We want to try to get away from that. We are North, right? So when we leave out of here, like I said, we traveled a lot of places. The one thing that they always ask, and nobody would ask, as you said, your organization, they say, where are you from, right? We from North. No matter what organization, what we have accomplished, we all still have organizations that are in North. We're North residents. And I believe at this time, we need to really become North residents together. And, there's programming that some of us are doing. We want to be able to figure out how to share that. One of the other pieces that we're working on is to create this transportation piece from park to park, since we're talking about park to parks, right? We have a golf course, we have tennis courts, you have Jesse Allen that has tennis, basketball, they have all these different things, right? Mildred Helm Park is getting there, but I don't know if it has enough space to do all these different things. I know Ms. Holder used to do a summer camp there, and Renata did movie nights.
Movie night, yeah.
Right? So we would bring the screen up there for Renata and bouncy houses and that kind of stuff to the church and stuff. Let's come together with the parks. Because one thing about a community is whenever you look at a cooperative of a community, it includes your religious locations, it includes your schools, it includes your hospital, it includes your organizations, it includes your parks. The park is where everyone relaxes at, right?
Yep.
And if we can build this park connection where we would do our part as far as recreational and advocacy for the parks. And also, send letters for Green Acres if y'all were applying for Green Acres funding and those things. Let's see how we can do this together as one community, of many organizations and bring back where we used to be, I think it was super neighborhood, that we need to go back to that type of version of our resident in our South Ward, in our North.
I would say, when you say duplication of services, right? I wouldn't see it as that, but I would just see it as the services happening in different areas. That's all. There's nothing wrong with, doing the same thing in different areas, right?
Okay.
As long as we plan to do it together, right?
Right.
As long as we plan to do it together. Because we've been doing National Night Out since 2008. We've been doing National Night Out since 2008, and like you said, instead of us doing one flyer that says only our 3 parks, I mean, obviously we'll have to talk about it, but we can certainly talk about making a flyer that has all 4 of the parks on there and all 4 of the different locations and contact information and all that kind of stuff. It's like I said, there's nothing wrong with because people need services and programming in all parks of the South Ward. And so as long as we plan to do it together, make one big calendar, are you kidding me? Like you said, that one big book,
Yeah, that's what I was speaking about, Renata. So let me add a little clarity to that, Renata.
Sure.
What we have experienced is over the years and I'm just gonna go to the book bag drives, right? What has happened in our area, and we had to take care of some individuals because we used to go to order the book bag, even ours, is they learned the system of getting book bags for outside people that do not live it. So what I mean by that is if you did a book bag drive on Monday, the same family gonna go there.
Sure.
And we do one on Tuesday, that same family is going there.
Yep.
We never actually identified if they really needed the bags. So, and I'm gonna go to the food, right? Because we've been doing food for a long time, right?
Yep.
So it has reached a point with the food where, and it really upsetted me to see a parent at Chancellor Avenue School take the box from the food bank and put it on the ground. And when the little child was going there trying to get some stuff out, she said, "No, we're not taking this box. We had enough of that. Leave it on the ground." And that has been one of the biggest things that we have actually seen when we were doing a lot of food distributions of waste. There's a lot of food waste at this point now. And that's one other reason why I say that we all come together so that we can start seeing, are we really hitting the audience of the people that really need it? Because we're not really looking at the working poor. There is a such thing as working poor. And what we used to do for the working poor, because they're proud people. And there's nothing wrong with being proud. So what we would know, because we in this community, and I'm speaking on the weekday section, we know who you are. We know how many children you have in college. We know, how many cars you got, the driveway car, no block. We know that the fact that you may have had a senior in your house that can't take care of the upkeep now. So we sent people over there to clean up that. What we would do is just take the box, and I just shared some pictures of that, and just put it on the steps. Or we would put the table out and just put the stuff on the table and go and don't even stay there, and they would take those items. So, that's what I mean by duplication, Renata, is that we have to make sure that we are now identifying the group. So
Coordinated,
one of the things that we found out the hard way is housing facilities, tenants receive a lot of resources, that it was to the point where it was being wasted, you know, and then we was able to work with them to redistribute it to other areas. That's a major concern because, like I said, the working class group is some identified as working poor. And so what we have done, like with our summer camp, we do working parents discounts and those type of things, because you know, that way it don't seem like they are begging for services or have to go before somebody just to say, you know, you can't have it because your income is a certain amount. But we was able to advocate with the state years ago, where now they have raised the bar up to $100,000, and when they give out certain subsidies, and that's a great accomplishment. The other piece I want to collaborate with you with, and this is a part that's real dear to us, is CPR with your youth organizations and making sure that the people are certified. Having AEDs in your parks. You know, Elijah Brown passed away in Westside Park because nobody knew CPR. And, you know, we're advocating with the family. We have legislation that's at the floor with the senator, but it needs to be written a little bit different because it's a little antiquated from the time that actual bill was great. It's, you know, it's just for schools, but now we have to make sure that the youth organizations not only are certified, but they have the resources. And, you know, I did hear something about seeking volunteers. You have volunteers in your community, it just may not know how to go about doing it. And we can just revisit that as a conglomerate of organizations and parks. Maybe they'll feel more comfortable saying that they don't know, but they do have the sweat equity will to want to achieve. And this is something that I've realized over the years of touching 6,000, 7,000 to 10,000 people in this neighborhood. Right? That's all I want to say.
I just want to add before we close, if possible, I know you mentioned some of the programs that we do, but the best way to find our information is on weequahic.com. That'll highlight the NFL flag, the baseball program that we do. We also partner to do Public Safety Explorers, and that is teaching the youth careers in that industry. So that would include EMS, fire, police. So there's a few things that we do offer in this upcoming year. We also do environmental. We've added that to our plate. It's kind of separating the sports and the environmental tasks that we were kind of undertaking under the sports umbrella. So now we clearly identify the environmental roles that we are spearheading, one of which is a recycle program that the youth themselves are developing. We won $2,500 actually to spearhead this project. So we meet with them monthly to learn how to recycle better with metal and plastic. So once that kind of ideal materializes, hopefully it's an ideal that can be spread into different parks that can go throughout the city of Newark and beyond. Just make, you know, life a little bit more easier with the garbage and debris that kind of accumulates in every park in our area.
Now, I will invite you to the kite event though before I go.
Team and the WEEQUAHIC Park Sports Authority. You share all additional information in the chat, so that way we all can have access to it, because we've overextended our meeting about 18 minutes. And,
okay.
We still want to close out and still share some information about a collaboration with Steve Urban. That's going to be happening this Monday at 505 Clinton Avenue from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Steve Urban has a week-long schedule of different activities which are free, you know, to the community and offered for a wellness. Okay. Carla, do you have any other information to share?
What's that? Oh, Richard?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm having a little trouble hearing everybody, but